Welcome back to the Lex Dynamic YouTube channel. Special thanks to whoever follows me on TikTok. And today I'm going to talk about the government shutdown, how we got here, and really what it's going to take to get out of this. But first, music. And because I am Lex Dynamic and I just released my third album a couple of weeks ago, it's all instrumental, streams for free on Apple, Spotify, and all the rest. Here's a sample. All right, let's get right into it because I have a large ego and I am a civil rights lawyer, so I'm enamored by the sound of my own voice anyway, and I don't want to waste a bunch of people's time. This actually is really not that complicated. So first off, there's one thing that Republicans are distinctly better at than Democrats, and bear in mind, I'm a member of neither party. What Republicans are actually much better at than Democrats is messaging. And Republicans always stay on message, and Democrats are all over the place. And I really hope that the Democrats don't screw this up, but they probably will. All right, first of all, the Democrats need to just refer to this as Trump's shutdown. That's it. That is all it should be called, is Trump's shutdown. Not the Republican shutdown, not John Thune shutdown. Nobody knows who the hell John Thune is. Certainly not our shutdown. Call it Trump's shutdown. People can be very simple in the way they look at things, and if you just keep repeating this, eventually it's just going to take. Second, you have to repeat all the time that this is about healthcare costs, because that's exactly what this is about, is healthcare costs. There is another issue, and that is the issue actually of Trump's power and how he is using money that has been allocated to by Congress. But that is kind of a more complicated issue, and it's harder to understand. Not that hard, but still keep it simple. All right, and that's another thing. Democrats always get caught up in the weeds, and they start talking about technicalities and using big words and talking down to people. And really, sometimes they just govern like fucking morons. They forget how to communicate with regular people, like Chuck Schumer. The Democratic Senate leader is always guilty of this because Chuck Schumer's the fact that he is the leader of the Democrats is really disheartening anyway. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a fucking banker. Okay, but Jesus, just keep saying Trump shut down healthcare costs, like the chorus in a Taylor Swift song. Okay, just keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it all over, all the time. But Democrats are already screwing this up because they haven't explained why there's a shutdown. And you know why how I know this? Because it took me until Google, page 3, to find an article about why there's a shutdown. That means that the Democrats are doing a really lousy job of communicating with the media. What else is fucking new? All right, let's go back and talk about how we got to this point. This all started with this stupidly called Big Beautiful Bill, all right? So the Big Beautiful Bill was supposed to cut spending and cut taxes and help everyone. All right. It cuts spending off the backs of poor people and middle-class people. The tax cuts are primarily to the wealthy and barely go to the middle class, and this essentially was a giveaway to the rich. And the big way that they really cut spending is through healthcare. So America already has this completely moronic healthcare system that is essentially the most expensive in the world, and we don't really get better results from it. Now, several years ago, we passed the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, which is better known as Obamacare. And we got a lot of people insured through the ACA. In fact, there are 24 million people who signed up for health insurance, through the ACA. Now, one of the ways that they kind of controlled costs is through subsidies. And what that means is that the government actually gave some direct payouts to health insurance companies so that they wouldn't jack up premiums on health insurance and other costs for regular people. Now, this is actually a pretty stupid system, and I have a lot of problems with Obamacare, but at the same time, this is what we have, and at least costs are not going up right now as much as they used to prior to the passing of the Affordable Care Act. But in order to control these costs, you really need these payouts, these subsidies from the government. Now, because of these subsidies, some poor people can get health care without paying any kind of premiums whatsoever. So it's good that poor people should have health care. Everyone in America should have health care, but again, we have a fucked up system, and we kind of have the system where if you can't afford health care, I guess you just drop dead and die. Now, those subsidies also make it more affordable for the middle class. And what's going to start happening if Congress doesn't do something after they pass this big, beautiful bill, which is big in a bill, but there's really nothing beautiful about it, is that people are going to start getting notices soon, if they haven't already, from their health insurance companies saying, this is how much your premiums are going to go up. In fact, I've already gotten a notice like this for the health insurance that I pay for my employees. They said, this is how much more it's going to cost, and this is how much more you can expect to have things go out of pocket. That's going to vary from state to state. Now, the average is about $1,000 a year, and that's still a significant chunk of change. Although there are some numbers actually that say it may be significantly higher than that. Chuck Schumer was talking today about something that may be $400 a month. Now, I don't know if that's exaggerated, because look, Democrats lie too, like Republicans, not as much as Republicans. Trump is the world's heavyweight champion, and I mean heavyweight, of lying, but Democrats will lie too. But either way, pretty much everyone, including Republicans, agree that if Congress doesn't step in and do something about this, people's health insurance premiums will go up. And it doesn't matter if you get health insurance that you pay for by yourself or your employer pays, because look, if your employer pays it, they can still pass it on to you, or it can affect you in other ways where maybe you don't get a cost of living adjustment. You don't get that raise because they have to pay more for health care. When costs go up, everyone is affected. That's just the way that the economy works. Okay? Now, also what this is going to affect, and again, Republicans and Democrats agree on this, is how it's going to impact Medicaid. Medicaid specifically is designed to help poor people, and especially children of poor people. And it serves about 78 million adults and children. Remember, even though America is the richest country in the world, we have huge poverty numbers. About 30% of people in America live below the poverty line. That's a lot of people. And those folks need health care, and they get it through Medicaid. Now, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, it's called nonpartisan, it's not run by either Republicans or Democrats, says that as of now, 10 million people will lose their health insurance in the next 10 years if something isn't done. Again, that's a problem, because if you are talking about people paying more for health insurance and losing health insurance, a lot of people are going to suffer, a lot of people are going to be sick, and a lot of people are going to die. The last thing that this is about, and this is kind of more specialized, is basically we get into separation of powers. Now, we have these three branches, and different branches are responsible for different things. Well, the reality is that Congress actually is responsible for spending. All spending power goes through Congress. And once Congress actually decides we're going to spend this much money on these on these things, the president actually has to spend that money. However, Trump has been withholding money. And he says, okay, well, Congress has spent this money, but I don't actually have to go and distribute the money. This is leading to a problem, and is leading to some court battles, and Democrats are saying, well, look, how the hell can we trust you? We've actually allocated money, even if you tell us right now that you're going to pay for these subsidies and pay for Medicaid. How do we know that you're actually going to do that if you're withholding the money that we have already allocated? That is actually a legitimate claim, and even some Republicans are actually pretty ticked off about this, but because all of them are right there in Trump's ass, just eating that Trump asshole, they actually refuse to stand up for them. And Democrats, finally, for Christ's sake, drew a fucking spine, because they've been such pussies for so long that now they say, okay, this has come to a head. We have to do something Otherwise, this healthcare thing is really going to get out of control. Now, how are Republicans dealing with this? Mostly by lying. So first off, they're claiming that what Democrats are fighting for is healthcare going to illegal aliens. That is absolute bullshit. There's not a dime of this money that would go to illegal aliens. Illegal aliens are not eligible for this money, but why would, J.D. Vance and Trump say otherwise? Oh yeah, because they're fucking liars. Second, the Republicans are like, well, golly gee whiz, how do we get to this point? Maybe because you passed this big, beautiful fucking bill in July. This is a self-created mess. Republicans did this. This problem did not just come up out of nowhere. They knew exactly what they were doing. So just 2 months ago, essentially, or 3 months ago now, they made this mess. And now Republicans are saying, well, there's no need for a shutdown because we just have to wait and we'll fix this problem by November 21st. Bullshit. They have had months to fix this problem and they have fixed absolutely nothing. And if you haven't fixed this, if you created the problem in July and you've had 3 months to deal with this and you haven't dealt with it, why should we trust you to actually deal with this on November 21st? That's only 7 weeks from now. And the thing is, I can see the arguments already because then if the Democrats are like, well, you still haven't fixed it, it's November 19th, maybe we should do something. Well, you certainly can't shut down the government now. I mean, look, Thanksgiving is coming up. And you can't prevent people from going to see grandma in Kansas right now because then we're going to have a problem with all the air traffic controllers in the planes. And so Republicans really have no interest whatsoever in dealing with this. And they're just trying to actually kick the can down the road. Now, this is not a situation where I think Democrats are all good, Republicans are all bad. I mean, Republicans are awful right now. Democrats are just bad and gutless. Okay, as someone put it once, we have one party that has no brains, that's the Republicans, and we have another party that has no balls, that's the Democrats. But finally, the Democrats have decided to grow a fucking spine and say, look, we have to deal with this healthcare thing. And look, if you're going to actually die on that hill for something, do it for something important. People are paying a lot of money for healthcare in America as it is. The economy is tough. The economy is slowing down. We cannot continue to even pay more come January when everyone's premiums are going to go up if something isn't done. Now, the thing is, Democrats have painted themselves into a corner here because the thing is, if you're going to have this fight, you have to win it. In other words, you have to get something done about healthcare. And if you don't, then you've just shut down the government for no purpose whatsoever. So right now, again, like that Katy Perry song, like that Taylor Swift song, Tyler, who gives a shit? It's shitty music anyway. It really is. Look, I'm sorry, you guys like Taylor Swift, fucking shitty music. In any case, if you have to win this, otherwise people are going to think, well, what the hell did you shut down the government for a week or two, or 3 weeks? Because I think the last shutdown was like 19 days. Why are you doing this if you're not actually getting something for the American people? You have to bring home the goods. This is the time to do it. Now, if I were a betting man, what do I think is going to happen? The Democrats probably are going to cave because Chuck Schumer is a fucking banker. Hakeem Jeffries is a fucking idiot. The Democrats are all pussies. And they're probably eventually going to cave like they almost always do. Fuck, America is fucked. Okay, that's it for today. Check out my music. Apple, Spotify, streams for free. Unlike your healthcare, here's some more music. Listen to this, damn it. All right, signing off. See you next time.